Start. So welcome to the new session, new mentor hour session for Indian payroll. So this topic is little bit off the topic. Till now we have seen all the basic configurations in on-premise as well as ESS, MSS specific to payroll. Now I'll little bit talk about from a project point of view. If you are working in a typical implementation or support project, what are the things you will be coming across very new thing which I'll be talk about that. Hmm. So have you ever heard about the RISE-FW? Any guess?
Yes, sir. Yes, I heard
What is that? Any guess?
report.
R for
Maybe
report, yeah.
but I'm unable to remember right now. Actually, I saw the in basics in SAP basics actually.
Hmm. Okay, no problem. I will explain that. So today's session, today maybe or tomorrow sessions also, I will be focusing on that area.
Okay, sir.
RISE-FW function. So basically, whenever I'm talking about RISE-FW, okay. So before that, I will be telling you a story. So you might be knowing that story already. That is a story of an elephant and six blind men. Are you aware of that story?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No.
Lakshmi, what about you?
No, sir.
Do you know the story?
I don't know, sir.
Okay,
I'm saying
okay.
first.
Okay. So because this is story from one of the Rigbed story only, and it is also very popular story. Even many other countries also the people tell the same different way. So the story is all about six blind men and the elephant. Okay. So what happened? I will just tell you. Are you able to see my slides here?
Yes, sir. I'm able to see.
Yes,
Okay,
sir. Yes, sir.
so
We are
it
able
has a
to see you.
context actually. So why I'm telling just I'll take just 5-10 minutes for to tell the story. So basically, it is a blind man and the elephant. It was from told in India many years ago from Rigbed. It comes from the story. The idea is the moral of the story is it is a good warning about how our sensory perceptions can lead to misinterpretations. Suppose there are six blind men in a typical village in India. So basically what happened once they never heard about elephant. What is an elephant? Okay. And so every blind man, because they can't see, they try to give their own perception. So somebody came. So if you see, one blind man asked like what is an elephant looks like. So he started to begin to touch the body of the elephant. Okay. So
Okay.
another like I wonder that an elephant looks like, I will touch him and see. And some other person also did the same thing. Okay, so in this process, somebody touched the back of the means the side of the your elephant, and he thought that blind man, the first blind man, he thought that elephant is like a wall. Okay, so he
Okay.
thought like because he touched that on one side of that elephant. Okay. Similarly, the second blind man, what he did, he actually so for in the towards the big spear. So for him, he touched the front end, that trunk. Okay, so he touched that,
Okay.
and he thought that the tusk, the feeling of the tusk. Tusk means your that on the front. You understanding the tusk, right? What is a
Trunk.
tusk?
Okay, sir.
Tusk. Basically,
Yes.
the teeth, the two teeth which is
Teeth.
outward.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
after touching that tusk, basically that blind man actually told that it is like elephant might be like a spear, like an arrow or spear. He thought like that. Okay,
Okay.
this is the second blind man. Similar to the third blind man, he started to be touch the tail, swinging tail of that elephant. Okay, so he thought
Okay.
elephant might be like a rope. Okay, so the third blind man thought like that. Srikant, are you getting the fun?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Very
sir.
Yeah.
simple.
I just
The
Okay.
yes,
fourth
yes,
blind
yes.
man,
I just
fourth blind man, what he actually went and he touched the knee of the elephant. Okay, knee leg of the elephant, and he
Okay.
thought it might be look like a tree. The blind man thought that the elephant is like a tree only. Okay, so he has that perception. And similarly, another fifth diamond, what he did, he touched the ear of the elephant. Okay, and he thought it
okay.
is a fan. It looks like a fan. Okay, so
Okay.
they have their
Okay.
own perception regarding this.
Okay.
After
Okay.
that, what happened? The last one, sixth blind man, what he thought that he actually he approached the animal from the front and the trunk. Okay, so there are two things. Tusk is like an arrow, and the previously which you have seen, and the front end is a snake.
Yes.
So he thought like it's a snake. So is it like
Okay.
is that blind man who is correct? Okay, so they have given their own perception. Somebody thought it's a wall, snake, spear, tree, fan, or rope, depending upon their where exactly they are touching. Okay, so this is
Yes. Yes.
actually whenever why it is applicable for us. I will tell you the context here. So suppose you are getting a requirement in a typical client scenario. Okay, so what happens? So you are getting a requirement from the client, but as a functional consultant, you are not understanding the requirement. You are thinking the client might have asked this, the client might have asked that. Unless and until you are not having the bigger picture, what exactly the customer require or the customer client require, okay, then you will not be able to need understand and you can't deliver the what exactly the customer requires for that, right?
Client
Are you getting my
requires.
point? Right?
Yes. Yes.
Because
Yes,
in this
yes.
case all the six blind men, they are thinking in their own perception. Okay, but didn't have their own means they couldn't see anything which is holistic in nature. They couldn't see the bigger picture, rather I will say. Okay, so this is the story just I thought of sharing, and it is also contextual because today we'll be learning the functional specification. Okay, so you might have you heard about FSTS? Somebody talking about
Yes,
it?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, I
Okay.
heard that about that FDD document and TD technical design document, functional
It
design
is a
document.
different name, but the concept is same.
Okay.
So one thing
Yeah.
is we call it functional specification document. So another is called technical specification document. The two document. Okay. And before that, generally we will be having something called the BRD, business requirement document. Okay. And that will be
Okay.
prepared by a business analyst. Okay. Business analyst in a typical project, they will be taking all the requirement at a high level. Okay, the high level means like from a payroll point of view, what are the challenges their customer is facing, and what are the pain areas, what are the so at present what are the different processes they are running. Okay, so all those things will be taken care by the business analyst, and after getting that sign off, because the stakeholders which they will be also must be agreeing that to that document, and after that what they will be doing, so they will be basically signing of the document. Then as a functional consultant you will be going through that document, and also you have to prepare specific functional specification. Okay, are you getting my point from where actually it
Yes.
is coming?
Yes. I got
Yeah.
it. Yes.
Okay, so now I'll be coming to the main topic. So RICEF basically in a typical functional specification, whenever it is divided into 6 different segments. Okay, what are those? So basically there are R for reports, I for interface, C for conversion, E for enhancement, F for forms, W for workflow. Okay, so there are the different 6 different categories of a RICEF object or the functional specifications categories. Okay, any questions till now? Everything is clear?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Yeah, yeah. So after understanding this, so I will now go one by one. Report, what is a report? So basically, reports, generally, the reports are defined as an executable program. Okay, so basically, report is nothing but an executable program. What it will do, it will read the data from the database. So in SAP, we have our own database, and it will generate the output based on the filter criteria, whatever the depending upon the end users, whatever you're selecting. Okay, suppose you are selecting a particular payroll area. Only for that payroll area, that payroll will be running, right? Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So that is a deep report, and also why we require reports and also basically there are different types of report also, standard, custom, and ad hoc queries. Okay, so these are the different
Okay.
types of report we have, and in a
Okay.
typical report, what happens whenever you're executing a report, it will never update the database. Okay, so that thing you have to remember. It will just pull out those data from the and just present that data, but it will not change any data. Okay, so whenever you're executing any standard report or custom report, okay, so it will not never change the data in the database. Only it will just execute and just present those data as a to the end user. Okay, so that is the definition of a report. And standard recipe reports, we have seen a lot of standard recipe reports for the last 30 to 35 sessions, right? So in different areas of Indian payroll, we have seen varieties of reports. So yeah. So now why custom report is required? So I will just explain that here.
Okay.
So whenever there is a standard report which is offered by SAP for any country, it is not only for Indian payroll or any US payroll, any other countries also. So basically what will happen, if the standard SAP report doesn't meet the criteria, the business requirement of the client, okay, so then you have to take help from ABAP team who will be helping you to develop those custom report. Okay, so suppose say client is saying, yes, I need another 2 to 3 columns in this particular standard report, which SAP is not giving. Okay, so in that case, as a functional consultant, you have to write that statement, the business requirement, in a document, and that is your FS. In that functional specification, you will be mentioning that this is the standard report, this is your client requirement, and you will be hand over that document to your technical consultant or the ABAPA. Okay, so then he will be developing that report. Then once the development is done, he will be doing a unit testing. Then again, you will be do a functional testing. Then you deliver to the report to the customer. Okay, so that is the overall process, how to design a custom report and how to write those things. I will be discussing that. Is it clear? Because this understanding is important, because many of the customers, they ask custom reports, and this is very specific to project I'm talking about, nothing conceptual or your hands-on. Basically, in a typical project, you will be coming across this thing. Okay, so this is regarding the custom report. And there are also ad hoc queries are there basically, but don't have to worry about it. There are some queries also you can design, but it is not specific to your FS and TS. From an FS point of view, a functional specification point of view, these custom reports are very important. You have to understand how these are designed and what are the specification in a very detailed way. You have to write. How to write it, I will talk about it. Maybe tomorrow we'll discuss that. Okay. So this is regarding reports. So I have given a number here. So in a typical, suppose you are working in a project, it is just a hypothetical number. Suppose you are having a 1 year support project, and in that, suppose you are having 40 RISE-FW objects. Then it probably you'll be getting a chance to, mostly maximum things will be coming from enhancement, but in that case you may get around approximately 8 to 10 on an average. I'm telling it will be differ from organization to organization, the need based. Just a rough idea, like the importance of the reports. Okay, you'll be getting a lot of cost initially, especially in the initial days of implementation. The client may ask a lot of reports. Okay, once the system gets stable, maybe they will be, it is fine. So many reports are there, they can execute any of these things. Unless and until there is new changes, you don't have to worry about it. Okay, this is just a rough number. Do not go by this number. Okay, just for an estimate. Okay, so this is called as reports. Okay, so now we'll be talking about the interface. So what is an interface? Any idea?
It's like the SAP software, like a user interface.
Yes.
This is little bit different, whatever you are mentioning. So what happens? So basically, in some of the organization, they have their own time and attendance management system, like Kronos. So any other third-party time management software they are using. Then in that case, what will happen? So those time in and time out data, it will go to that system, and from that it will come to our SAP system. Okay, so that means benefits function is not that much used in India, mostly for US and other countries, but for India, most of the time and attendance management can be an example. So the data will be communicated between your SAP to non-SAP system. Okay, so that is via the interface. So for that reason, we need an interface, and how to build that and all. So those requirement details, as a functional consultant, you will be writing in that document, the functional specification document for interface, and your technical developer team, they will be designing or they will be developing that interface for you. And for that, we need IDOC. So basically, we have something called concept called IDOCs. IDOCs are used for all this kind of data transfer. Or in
it's a middleware, sir.
You can think of it's a middleware, but exactly it's not a middleware. So basically, IDOCs they will be using for data transfer, because the middleware is also very similar to that only. But say designing of those interfaces. So it can be also very similar to middleware. You can think of. Okay. So these things are actually required whenever you are doing a data transfer from one SAP system to non-SAP system. It's not only for SAP HR, any other modules also, like PM, quality management, any other modules also. Okay, so in those cases we need it, and it is little complex compared to other objects. Interfaces are little complex to handle. It requires a lot of
third-party software to SAP to get the data, right?
Yes. So you will be sending.
I got your point, sir.
So you'll be sending data from your SAP system to the non-SAP system. Say suppose you are having an employee ID. Okay, so that employee ID is a unique identifier, and that also you have to maintain in your time system, right? So that system will understand this is the employee ID, and for that it will capture the time data accordingly in the time management software, whatever you are using. And in that, let's say you are having a work schedule of 8 hours, and the person has worked on say more than 8 hours and 9 hours, then automatically system will calculate that 1 hour is overtime if you're having overtime policy. So that 1 hour, again, it will be processed. It will be in that particular time software, and those process results will be coming back to our SAP system. Okay, and accordingly that will be going as an input to the payroll. Okay, so whatever the overtime were calculated there. So in this way, the entire process. So this is just an example I have given. Okay, that is a role of an interface. Is it clear? Like what is interface? Okay.
Yes.
So in a typical, again, example, I'm just giving a hypothetical number. As these are complex in nature, mostly you will be getting like, suppose it's a 40 objects assigned in a typical year, 2 to 3 approximately you'll be getting, depending on, suppose for a mid-size organization like having 5,000, 4,000 employees. Okay. But if it's a larger organization, you may get more interface, and also depending upon the requirement, again, complexity and requirement. Okay. So this is a typical example of interface. Third one, you must be knowing it, like conversion. Any idea what is a conversion?
Yeah, after seeing your extension, I got the idea. Yes, sir. LSMW. Yes.
So have you ever created any LSMW? So it is a task again. Otherwise, I will tell you how to do that.
Yeah, okay, sir.
Suppose you have to upload data for say 30, 40 employees or 300 employees in one go. Okay, all the info types you have to. You are not going to maintain manually, right? So you have to
do it in non-SAP.
This is not exactly SAP non-SAP. Rather, uploading a data from Excel sheet or spreadsheet.
Yes, CSV file and XML.
CSV file, yes.
The document, yes.
So there are two types of conversion programs we do have, like LSMW, BDC we do have. Okay, so LSMW, it can be created by functional consultant, but BDC actually it requires help from a ABAP. Okay, technical developer, they can create it and simply by, suppose you want to upload 2,000 employees data in one go. Okay, so simply prepare the file and we maintain those employee data as per the your specifications. Okay, then upload that. So just execute that program and it will upload your all the employees data. So it is as simple as that.
Yes. Okay.
So this is regarding the conversion program. You have to also write whenever you're writing a functional specification, you have to take care of it. Like what are the things you have to update in that. The fourth one is enhancement, and it is the most frequently coming in your typical support project or in implementation over a period of time. So any kind of look and feel changes. Suppose you are working in a customer report. Suppose the customer asked to add another new column, or say add any particular field in the selection screen. Okay, so those kind of changes, or any kind of user interface or user experience point of view, any kind of cosmetic changes in the you're doing in the front end. Okay, those things will be coming under enhancement. Okay? And body, we have seen a lot of bodies, right? If whenever we are discussing configuration, right? In the any idea like what are any? Did you remember any of the bodies which we have discussed earlier? In which area we discussed?
Yes.
In a typical SPRO configurations, also you have seen a lot of bodies name, right? Okay, so those baddies will be helpful to do
In
any
employee
kind of
self-services,
yes.
employee self-service also we
There are
see
so
that.
many. There are so many things,
Yeah.
so many baddies are available. Okay, so what the baddie can do or what can't do. So you have to discuss. So like whenever the customer is asking for any kind of a custom changes into that, then you
Create
can
custom specific, client specific custom
yes. So basically,
requirements.
client suppose something is asking and you are having a specific body, whether it can do or not. First of all, you do not, before committing the customer, basically you need to talk to the developer. Okay. So talk to the developer whether that requirement can be met by the body which are offered by SAP. Okay. If it is yes, then you can go ahead and then you can complete the configuration in the body, whatever the changes required in the enhancement. That is also part of an enhancement only, we call it. Okay. So these kind of enhancements are generally large in number. Okay, so mostly even the SAP note for whatever you will be applying, mostly you have to do some kind of changes in the SAP itself. Okay, sometimes it is a functional configuration, that is fine, but some kind it may involve some kind of small coding changes, coding corrections. Okay, code change. SAP will clearly mention that changes in the SAP note itself. Then only you have to just apply those changes and move on. So this is some simple concept of enhancement. We'll be going through it more into detail. I'll be giving some examples also. What are the typical enhancements can come generally we'll be getting. So any
Sometimes
question?
using
Yes,
special
please.
languages, C++, Java.
Uh-huh.
On the term using
Mm-hmm.
separate above technical.
Hmm. Yes, yes. So basically, what are the changes you'll be doing those kind of enhancement? Even it is not for any specific to ABAP and all. Many other code languages also we do have. Okay. So this is regarding the enhancement, right? Is it clear here? Any other questions?
No, sir, it's clear.
No, sir.
Yeah. So next one is a form. So what is a form? So basically you will be having a varieties like it can be pay slip. A pay slip for that I have said one document like form only for form dedicated one document I have shared with you, and time sheet or any payroll reconciliation you are doing. Okay. Suppose you are comparing the previous month's salary to the current month's salary. You are doing a comparison. Okay. So those kind of things you can create using HR forms. There are you can do it also you have to take it, suppose if you need, because it doesn't require
Form
any kind of
60.
coding. It doesn't require any kind of coding. You can also do it by yourself, not that much difficult. Okay, so this one also we'll be discussing HR forms. Then W for workflow where it is required. Any guess?
Workflow, we are asking something like another person, some information or some data.
Mm-hmm. So mostly in case of approval, wherever there is a process of approval is required. Okay. So that in that case we have to use this concept of a workflow. Suppose there is a time set application. You have worked for 40 hours for this week, and you are going to update that in your time set application, and that time set requires an approval from a manager.
Okay.
So if there are some standard workflows also available in directly in SAP, but if you like to do any kind of changes, okay, suppose it's a leave application or a time set application. Suppose the customer is having a two level of approval. So say first level of approval is your manager, direct supervisor, and second level of approval is say HOD, head of the department. Okay, so in those cases you have to tweak that workflow. Okay, so as a functional consultant, what you will be doing? You will be doing that, writing that requirement in the document, functional specification, and your technical consultant, your ABAPer, what he will be doing? He will be doing the changes in the system, and accordingly, he will be performing that activity. Then again, you have to test that whether that workflow is working or not. Okay, so this is the concept of a workflow, mostly for the approvals, or any kind of, or it can be a reimbursement approval in ESS, MSS also. We have seen like there are different types of approving authority. So you have to whatever you have configured in the backend. Okay, so suppose it requires an approval. Okay, so that things also will be coming. Any kind of changes or customization is required. Notification, who will be getting the notification? There are some standard configurations also there, which we have seen in the ESS MSS. But on the top of that, if any kind of changes is required, some customization is required. Okay, then we have to check the custom thing. So there are many other options we do have. So this is a concept of your RISEF W objects. Okay? So having said that, now I'll be showing you a document. I think the document you have downloaded, right? So let me open the document. Yeah. Are you able to see my document?
No, sir. I'm seeing it.
I'm not able to see your screen, sir.
Okay. I have to reshare them. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now?
We are able to see your screen.
Yes,
Yeah.
now.
So this is a
Nice.
typical specification or functional technical specification document, we can say. It can be one document, you can maintain both functional and technical specification. And if it required, many of the organizations, they follow to have two different documents. Okay, one is a functional document, functional specification, and this is technical specification. Okay? So it is up to you, like up to the organization and all. Okay, so basically what you will be doing in this document, you will be mentioning what is the type of the RISE-W object. Suppose it is a report, custom report, then you have to mention the report name. It is a report here, and the report name you can mention. Okay, so this is the thing. Other than that, in the first page, if you see, this is just a template I'm sharing with you. Okay, so you can modify also depending upon the requirement, but the structure can be the similar. Okay, so in a typical organization, we will be having a developer. Okay, so who will be developing that this thing. Okay, somebody will be after developing, somebody will be reviewing, and similarly, the manager will also be reviewing a functional lead. So they have to sign off. Means they'll be review the document and they have to put a date and approve it. Okay, so this is a kind of a generic structure. Okay, and if you see the table of content, so there are three sections of it. Okay, like a functional specification. Second one is your technical specification, that is in your number 2. Okay, in this number 2 here. And similarly, the third section we have it combined testing, functional testing as well as your technical testing. Okay, so there can be three documents, three sections. Okay, suppose you are preparing two different documents, say one is FS and one is the TS, then this testing will be both, it will be there in the FS as well as the TS. In the FS, it will be, you will be having your functional testing, and the technical specification TS, you will be having your technical unit testing, those kind of thing. Okay, are you getting following me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if you see here in the functional specifications, so if I go through, like you have again in the first section, in section 1.1, it is a general overview. Okay, so like whatever the business analyst has given the requirement from the BRD business requirement document. Okay, so you will be just mentioning those in at high level. Okay, so like what is the purpose, what you are going to achieve by using that custom object. Okay, so those details you will be mentioning, and also some technical definitions, any kind of acronym, okay, any abbreviation you are using in that. Okay, so those kind of things you will be updating in that document. What are the assumptions? Okay, what are the possible issues, detailed process descriptions? Okay, what are the configuration or authorization requirement? All the details we will be mentioning in that particular functional specification general section. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
so that is the first one. In 1.2, 1.3, this is again, it is actually, if it is a really an enhancement, then you will be completing this portion. Okay, so in an enhancement, you will be mentioning your functional exit, field exit, menu exit. If it is a body, you are using what the body name of the body. Okay, similarly, if you're having a workflow object, okay, then you will be referring this one. Okay, so this is the for a workflow. Okay, suppose you are using a workflow. Similarly, if you are using enhancement, you will be using this particular enhancement option. Okay, so you do not have to fill up everything, because at a time you'll be getting one object, and that will fall into one of these 6 categories. Okay, so enhancement, it can be workflow, it can be report. So report, in that case, only the what are the report section. Maybe you'll be taking writing a or drawing a mock-up. When I say mock-up, like it is a kind of how the screen will be looking like in a report. Okay, the front end screen, selection screen, and the output, what should be the output. Okay, so those details you'll be mentioning in the reporting section. Okay. So today I'm just giving a structure of it, and maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow I'll be giving a real-time examples, like how it will be looking like in a typical project. Okay, sample I'll be sharing with you. So similarly, we have a form. Forms are basically, you'll be having all kind of pay slips, timesheet application, any kind of other, the layout. Okay, that you'll be drawing here. Okay, similarly, your interfaces, what are the interfaces you'll be using, those things will be used, details, summary of the data mapping template. Okay, as I was giving an example of Kronos time management tool to our SAP HR. So what are the data mapping, what is the employee ID mapping to our Kronos? Okay, so those details will be mentioning there. Same goes with your conversion as well. Okay, so whenever you're doing a conversion, basically you'll be having a data cleansing activity, data validations, manual conversion. So there are so many things are there. Okay, so these are typical 6 areas which I thought of sharing with you because it is very critical in any kind of implementation or a support project. Hope it will be helpful for you. So I will recommend what you to do, just to go through the document structure once, okay, today, because today only I just share the document. Okay, and maybe tomorrow we'll be start discussing this thing in detail about it. Okay, I'll be giving an example, and also I'll be giving a task for you. Suppose I'm a business analyst, I'll be giving a requirement, and I'll be asking you to design a functional specification for me. Okay, so that will be a task. Okay, so in this way we'll be learning this thing. Maybe 2 to 3 days we'll spend on this because this is a very critical thing. In any projects, you'll be coming across this kind of requirement. And in a typical interviews also, they'll be asking, have you designed, how many FS you have designed, delivered? So those things are very good to understand all these things. Okay, so all these details we'll be discussing, yeah, from a project point of view. Okay, so that's all for today's session. Any questions, comments, feedback?
At what stage the consultant at what stage can prepare this document, sir? At how much experience he needs for preparing this document?
So as such, there is no experience criteria. Like even as a fresher, within a 6 month to 1 year's experience, they can also, as long as they understood the requirement from the customer, after understanding it, they can design. It's just a document. Like the skill set required is you have to understand the requirement in a detailed way, and also you have to capture that requirement in document. Okay, so that's it. Simple English. Maybe so like you have to draw, if you have to draw a diagram, you have to draw a diagram in case of interface. So that's all, nothing much. The only thing is you have to understand what the customer requires and you have to deliver that requirement in a how you are going to achieve that will be mentioning here, and also the success criteria. Okay, so like suppose you are testing after designing that application, what are the test cases, unit test cases, you can also mention that. Okay, if it is passing, then your object is a success. Okay, so in that way you can design, and same thing will be going to your technical developer team, and they will be referring the document, and they will be then you're designing the coding, whatever coding is required. In case of report, they will be designing a report. In case of workflow or interface, they'll be designing that objects. Okay, then they will be delivering it to you. Okay, so once it is done, again you'll be testing that. Then finally you will deliver it to the customer. So that is the overall end-to-end thing.
Yeah, who will provide this information? Like the customer needs, who will like core team will provide this information for me?
Basically, if you're directly connecting with the customer, then you will be taking the requirement from that customer. And if you're taking help from there, suppose there is a business analyst who is responsible for taking that requirement from the core team. Okay, so then that business analyst in your organization, he will be sharing that information with you, and you will be start developing that document. So it can be both way, depending upon your client organization.
How many days it will take to prepare these documents? Like how many days they will give you me to prepare this document?
It depends upon the complexity. Depends upon the complexity of the object. Like even I have seen people delivering FS within 1 hour also. If it is a very simple, straightforward document. Okay. I'm just telling.
Yeah, because of I have to understand the complexity of this document. That's the reason I'm asking this question. Yes.
It can be 1 hour, 1 day, 5 days, 10 days maximum. Okay, depending upon the complexity and all. So that's all. Okay. I think we are close to the timing.
Yeah.
And
yes,
tomorrow
sir.
again
We'll
connect at the same time. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure, sir. Sure. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah, bye. Bye, bye.